Emotional adulthood is when you stop asking, what do I feel like doing? And start asking, who am I being? It's your identity. It's a shift in identity.
It is, totally. And it's all about leading by example.
If you're actively seeking ways to build your mental toughness, navigate life transitions with grace, or simply find inspiration to keep moving forward, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast.
Hi team, welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking. My name is Yvette and I'm here with my co-host Kat. In today's session, we're actually going to cover leading yourself when you absolutely don't feel like doing anything. How do you get yourself up off the couch and make yourself do the things that you need to do in your day when you don't feel like it? Or when you're wanting to reach for that chocolate bar and you really shouldn't do it because you may be moving towards new goals, those types of things.
Yep.
And you've got an idea of what you want to pursue in your life, but that chocolate bar is looking pretty good. So how do you maneuver that? How do you get yourself out of that chocolate bar thinking and into that lead yourself thinking?
Well, you've got to step into adulthood. I lived in Japan for a while and I used to eat loads of chocolate. And I remember this Japanese guy said to me, "Oh, natamo kodomo." And that is, you're a child. You eat like a child. He said, chocolate and candy is food for children. It's not food for adults. And I went, oh, yeah, he's right.
Yeah. Trust the Japanese to throw a punch in the gut like that.
Thank you, Honourable Master, for telling me.
Did it stop you from eating chocolate?
Not that night. But I've often thought about it over the years, and it's interesting because leadership, self-leadership, as I've mentioned many times, I'm on a weight loss journey at the moment, and it is not motivation that holds you. It is discipline. And where does that discipline come from? Emotional adulthood, the choices you make. Who am I now? I'm not a child that stuffs their face with chocolate. I'm an adult who respects their body and decides to go and walk for an hour every day to lose weight and goes to the gym. And I'm not going to ruin that by eating chocolate.
Yeah. I would actually add to that and say, for me, it's inspiration versus motivation. So when you're inspired, that inspires you into action. Motivation is like you've got to force yourself to do it. You've got to get your willpower behind you and make it happen. And motivation can run out of steam very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And the inspiration is what keeps you going because you're inspired to do it. You may have a vision of what it is that you're trying to achieve. We're talking about it from a weight loss perspective. You may have a vision of what it is that you're trying to achieve, and that is so strong in your mind, and you're so committed to that you are willing to lead yourself and do the adult things that you need to do to get yourself there. So what does that look like? What does it look like when you lead by example and leading yourself, like it's self-leadership? What does that look like?
I think firstly, it's a big mindset shift from bullying yourself to do the things you don't want to do into choosing to respect yourself enough to love yourself to do the things that you need to do.
Yeah. And
that mindset, the set shift alone takes it from being, a self-flagellation. I must flog myself into this to I'm inspired to look after me and nurture and love myself.
And it's a different relationship with yourself, isn't it? It's when you are coming from that place of self-leadership, as you said, it's about that self-love, like having a really good relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
But that relationship has to start, and that starts by showing and proving to yourself that you follow through with your truth. So a bit of that integrity. So if I say to myself, I want to do this, and then I don't do it, and I keep not showing up for myself, that basically means that I lack integrity for me, and and I should be actually creating more integrity for myself than anything else.
Absolutely.
And if I follow through with what I say that I'm going to do to myself, then that also builds that trust muscle, and you start to trust yourself more and more and more.
And you value yourself more.
And you value yourself more. Exactly. And I think that's the whole thing. It's that valuing yourself. So all of a sudden you're going from not valuing yourself or devaluing yourself to going, no, I'm going to start taking these small steps to actually value myself. And that will mean, I'm going to get myself off the couch and I'm going to go for that walk.
I'm going to do, and we talked about this before. This is a brilliant, and I did this. I used the concept of the 7-day micro challenge or micro promise to do exactly this because I knew that Christmas time was a danger time for me. I love a cocktail. I love to cook. And
I love food.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that I really stuck to things this year. I allowed myself a lovely meal Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then and a couple of drinks, and got myself straight back on the bandwagon. And so I did a 7-day micro promise. I will walk. I will do 10,000 steps a day, and make sure that I do that over the next 7 days. And I did that. And that was amazing and I did it in a fashion that was not flogging myself, because I didn't want to destroy myself racing around brisk walking and then end up starving and then get into that whole thing of I've got to stuff my face, I feel really hungry. I just did it really calmly. I used that NEAT, I think it's called the NEAT method, where you just increase your incidental exercise, go for relaxed walks, keep your cortisol low, all from a place of self-love, feeling good about me. Total game changer. Total game changer. I've lost 1.2 kilos over the Christmas period. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, rather than putting it on. That's fantastic. And the interesting thing with that 7-day micro challenge is what you do at the end of the 7 days is go, let's do this for another 7 days. Because that whole concept of being able to handle it in small doses, small chunks. It's when we make that really big, and we've spoken about this before, like the goal becomes so big that we become overwhelmed. And we don't know where to start. Or we go, I've got to do this for the next 6 months. Break it down. Just do it for a week. Do it for a week. And then what you're doing is you're proving to yourself that you've done it. Yeah. And then that again builds that self-trust.
Yep.
The commitment. It's only 7 days. You know, it's one of the things that I used to do when I used to go jogging. And, you know, rather than kind of going, oh, I've got to jog for the next 5Ks, I'd go, just get to that light post. Okay. Light post.
That's
and then
right.
you're going to get to the next one. You know, when you're first starting, you want to do that. And if you needed to have a break and walk for a sec, have a break and walk for a sec.
Do it.
Don't have a hard time about it, and then get back to the jog again. It's building it up. But it's the same sort of thing. It's the go for 7 days, and you're tricking the ego personality.
Yeah.
That's
You are.
It's only 7 days. That's all we're going to do. And then you get to the end of 7 days, you go, oh, look at the results I've gotten. That feels really good.
I actually feel really good. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I think I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. Let's do another 7 days and see how we feel after that. And that's how you keep doing it. And then all of a sudden, 6 months has passed and you've gone, freaking hell, I've actually achieved
I've got a habit. I've got a positive habit that's up spiraling my life and is something that's happening all the time. The other thing it does is it takes out decision fatigue. If I made a decision saying, right, every day I'm going to go and walk, I'm going to do a 5K walk at minimum every day, because I'm going to make sure I've got to do 10,000 steps a day. That's a non-negotiable. You get up in the morning, you have breakfast, and then you go and do your walk. That's a non-negotiable now. Don't think about it again. Don't argue with yourself. Don't have any more discussions with yourself. Just go and do it.
You just do it. You just do it.
Yep. And then suddenly all that decision fatigue's gone, you know?
I had the conversation with myself, especially in the early days of going, how will I feel after I've actually done that?
After I've done it.
As if I have a sense of accomplishment because I've actually done it. And I prefer to feel that than feeling a sense of guilt because my monkey mind's going, oh, you didn't do it. See, you didn't do it. So I prefer to go, I would like the feeling of accomplishment than having the monkey mind chatter in my ear.
That's right. Yep.
I'm not enough. And look, I've already failed. So, and that's part of that self-leadership is going, well, okay, that's what I choose to do. It's the same with if I look at exercise for me. I exercise because it actually helps me navigate anxiety and depression. I don't necessarily do it because I get a really nice body out of it or I feel fit out of it. I mean, I was even saying to my husband recently, I actually really like the feeling of how strong I feel in my body.
Yeah, that's an amazing feeling.
Over time, with constantly doing the rowing and everything like that, I feel really strong in my body. Yeah. And I love that feeling. I remember when I was doing Aikido 6 days a week, that's exactly I just had this inner strength in my body and I loved it. And that itself is almost like an addiction. But if I hold on to that emotion around that feeling that I have of how I love that feeling of strength in my body, it's almost like vitality as well.
Yes, that vitality. Yeah.
That itself is enough to, if I can put an emotion around that, on the days when I feel, oh, I don't want to do this, it's going, oh, but I really like that feeling.
I love that feeling. So, yeah.
And I'm gonna navigate towards that instead.
It's the other thing about emotional adulthood is delayed gratification. You know, that's what adults do. We go, okay, and we forget, like, we have to make a bit of a sacrifice. Got to get up early. Don't lay in bed. Okay, whatever. And I'll go and do my thing and then I'm done. And that's great. It's out the way. It's finished. But there is a bit of delayed gratification. You do have to say to yourself, okay, my food's going to be a bit boring for a while. That's how it is. But that's okay. And you only feel kind of bored with it or ticked off with it for a short time until you start seeing the results.
Yeah.
Because making a sacrifice, we all go, oh, I don't want to make any sacrifices for anything. Sacrificing is giving up something that you want, but it's to get something even better down the track that you really, really want. And that's emotional adulthood. That's saying, well, yeah, like I'm going to save money for the trip that I want to go away on overseas with my friends at the end of the year and have an absolute whale of a time and make sure that I'm not tight on cash. So I really enjoy that. And that means that I'm not going to be able to go out partying with my friends quite a few times this year. I'm going to actually stay home a lot more, and I'm going to go for walks in nature and get an early night rather than go out and blow my money on expensive dinners or whatever, or buying too many clothes, because I need to do that because I want to, at the end of the year, I'm going to have an absolute ball and I'm going to shop till I drop.
And I think that's it, that you're having that internal conversation with yourself. And it is a negotiation. It's like, I can either do this now and get this total satisfaction right now. Which
is it total satisfaction though?
Well, it's an instant gratification.
Yeah.
And or I couldn't be bothered. I don't want to get off the couch, or whatever the talk is that you tell yourself when you're trying to talk yourself out of doing something that you know that you want to be doing. And then you play that negotiation game of, well, what if? What if I do this? How will I feel after I do it?
Yeah.
And what I do is I'll put myself in that feeling of how I feel after I do it. Yep. Because especially when you do suffer from anxiety and depression, and you do hit a low mood, that's actually the hardest points to get yourself to do something. You really don't want to do anything. You're just going, no, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit on the couch. I want to feel sorry for myself.
That's right.
All that type of stuff. And that's okay to recognize it. This is the other important thing about that adult emotion, is to recognize that that's how you're feeling.
Yes.
But don't let it take you over. Now, yes, it's okay to say, well, all right, I'm going to give myself 24 hours. That's all I'm going to do, is I'm going to give myself 24 hours to whinge and whine and complain. But then tomorrow I'm back on it. I'm back to it. And that's only if you absolutely have to do that. But if you don't, if you know it's just that you're looking for an excuse not to do the thing that you need to do, then it's really about looking at it and going, all right, how do I normally feel after I actually finish that routine? Whether it's exercising, whether it's a food thing, it doesn't really matter. Whether you're trying to get a business up and going, it doesn't really matter. Whatever it is, you've got a goal that you're trying to achieve, whether it's saving the money and you go, oh, but I want to go buy this piece of clothing, or I want to go buy this new tech, or what have you.
Yeah.
That's going to take you away from the goal that you're trying to achieve financially.
Yep.
Again, it's to look at it and go, what is it that I'm trying to look at, that instant gratification? What is it that I want instantly right now? Well, I don't want that, because it's only going to have a short-lived moment. But if I actually choose to do this over here, I'm going to have a longer form of gratification. I'm going to feel better about myself because I've actually followed through with what I said I'm going to do.
Yep.
And again, it builds that confidence in yourself, that trust in yourself, and you start to value yourself more.
Well, a lot of it is to do with the story that your mind assigns to that moment. And this is where the work comes in. So if you say to yourself, oh, I'm just going to, I had a job that I loved, but I really hated the work environment, and I hated the office politics, and every day it drove me crazy. And every day I would steel myself to go into work because I absolutely fucking hated it. But I loved my job. And every morning I would say to myself, I'm a professional. I will turn up. I will be well turned out. I'll be focused on my role, and I will do that every damn day. And I turned up every damn day. And they even said to me at the end of it, gee, you don't take many sick days, do you? And I went, nope, because I'm here to do my job. And although I had an awful time at that place, I can honestly say that I turned up every single day and I did a really good job. And they said, we can't fault anything that you've done. Your work has been amazing. Like, you've done a really good job. And I was like, yep, thank you. I just can't continue to work here. But I did it. I did it for 12 months because I loved the work, and I knew that I pulled my mind, instead of going, oh God, I hate going into work every day. It sucks. The vibe and the atmosphere is terrible, which it was. And that was fine. The story my mind assigned to it was, I took a macro view. When you're in it and you do that constant, oh God, every day, I took a macro view and I thought, in 12 months, this is going to look really good on my resume. It's going to be another year of accomplishment. It's going to be another year of experience. And I am learning a lot of stuff in here, mostly around how not to choose staff and management. But I was still learning. Actually, I was learning a lot about myself and how to manage myself in that situation. That's pretty much what I learned in that role for 12 months. Although it sucked, I still turned up. So that's what you do. You choose the standard that you act from. That's emotional adulthood. I needed to pay my bills. I wanted to keep working in that field. That's what I did.
Yeah, well, I like what you just said about managing yourself, because really that's it goes back to that self-leadership. That's what it's about. How
I
do
didn't
you
do it
lead?
perfectly, mind you. I didn't do it
Yeah,
perfectly. I made
no,
a lot of
yeah,
mistakes,
yeah.
but I'm glad that I could make mistakes in that place because, quite honestly, it was a no-win sort of situation in many ways. Everybody was miserable there. So, in a way, what it taught me was to respect and love myself enough to go, there's got to be a better way.
And there always is a better way, isn't there? Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's like, what are your standards versus your mood?
Mm. I
So
think mood's a runaway
are you
horse.
living by your own standards, or are you living by your mood?
And a lot of people don't have their standards defined.
No, they don't.
A lot of people think that being nice and just getting along with people is more important than having their own standards. So again, we come back to talk about it a million times. People will uh, sell themselves a little bit, allow their boundaries to be crossed on a daily basis, allow themselves to get stressed out, just keep flogging themselves to show up and do what they've got to do without having their boundaries. But it's a tricky kind of a balance to make, I suppose, which is I'm going to have my own standards and these are what my standards are going to be for my behavior. I can't control their behavior, but I'm also not going to tolerate it if it's overstepping my boundaries, and I will politely say, hang on, no, that's not right. But that
Yeah.
might not make you popular.
But it's also, that's a difference between that reaction versus responding. You want to respond. I would also say that the standards is about your values as well. Do you know what your value system is?
Oh, so big.
What are the things that you value in your life? Do you understand your strengths, what you really do bring to
Yeah.
the party? And whether that is, even when it comes to doing your goals that you've set for the year, how do your values and your strengths come into play with that? And how are you going to use them to
Can I
help
just
achieve that?
say, I'm sorry to be a shameless plugger of the Blueprint workbook that you wrote, Yvette. But I just have to tell you that when I did the exercise on discovering my own values in the workbook, that was a game changer for me because literally knowing what your values are is enormous. It's like giving you the roadmap to what you're going to be good at and what's going to align and fit with you. So if you don't know, that's important.
So I'm going to ask you, when you went through that exercise of defining and understanding your values, why was it a game changer for you? Was it because all of a sudden you knew what your values were, or you knew the priority of them? What was it?
Priority was really important. So my first two values are bravery and honesty. Which means that I probably don't fit terribly well into an office environment. And even worse, in a justice environment where there's a lot of stuff going on that shouldn't be getting done the way it's supposed to be done. Well, not everywhere, but in some places I've worked. And I'm brave enough, to be honest. And that's a terrible combination.
Yeah,
okay, hang on, that's not right. We're not doing according to policy and under legislation. It should be done like this. And actually, what's ethical, I think, is this. What do you think? Shut up.
I think also with the value, so have you found that since you've had that identification of getting really quite clear of what your values are and what your strengths are, and then looking at it in that priority order, did that also assist you with understanding the types of goals and how you wanted to achieve? Oh God. Yeah.
Huge. So I've gone from, it really drove it home to me because I previously ran my own business for 15 years. Then I chose to go to university, educate myself and get into an area that I thought was really fascinating, which was criminal justice, helping offenders rehabilitate, that kind of thing. So I love all that. I love coaching. And I find the law very interesting and I find why people offend really interesting too. However, doing the values showed me that I don't fit in in that workplace. I'm too creative for a start. I'm too brave. I'm too honest. I'm too independent of thought, and I'm not fearful enough. I'm not fearful enough to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And I also, I know that I'm too creative and I'm too driven to be put down. So you might put me down for a little bit, but then I'll spring back up because that's just who I am. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
That's my value. That's my value. It's so intrinsic to me as a human being that no matter how many times you knock me down, I'm going to get back up because I'm so determined. I'm so self-determined. I'm so absolutely driven. And right at the end of my values is forgiveness, as we've talked about before. So if you shit on me from a great height, I'm never going to forgive you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I try to, but I'm shit at it. I'm getting better at it, but it's something that I'm not very good at. So I may forgive you, but I'll never forget. And so
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to work in a workplace where there's petty politics and dramas and stupid crap and the other thing is I'm a big vision person. I'm like really results driven. So I really didn't understand. I knew kind of these things a little bit about me, but I just didn't understand. I was trying to force a square peg into a round hole,
Yeah.
just trying to cut myself down to fit. So I'm just totally giving up working for other people in those environments.
But I think that's the when you do understand your values and your strengths, and that goes back to what you're understanding your standards. What are the standards
Yes.
that you set for
Yes.
yourself, and the boundaries and everything? It's kind of all encompassing.
Yep.
It's when you understand your values and are really clear on what they are, all of a sudden you can look at your goals that you're setting
Yeah.
or the vision that you want for yourself.
Yep. Yep.
And you can align them to that, as opposed to going, oh, I'm going to use, New Year's resolution because we've just gone through New
Yeah.
Year's. My New Year's resolution is all about, I don't know, getting fit. It's all about doing that. How does that align to your values? And can you align it to your values? Because if you can't, then you're never going to succeed at it, because it's not something that equals your strengths or your values. It's not an area that, that's important to you. And I would say, I'm going to come back a little bit from that. I actually think health is really important to everybody and everybody should do it, but you need to figure out what form of health works for you based on your values and your strengths.
Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Are you doing
why
it
are
to
you
look
doing
good? And is that going to last for you? Or are you doing it because you've stepped into the new identity of being a powerful female who's creating their life how they want? And you know that part of that is ensuring that your health is on track. So you've got the energy to do that stuff. Now, that's very different to, I just want to look good in that dress.
Very different. Yeah. Very different. So, and I think that's why a lot of you, and I'm saying why, the why that you have has to be linked to your values and
Yes,
your strengths and your standards. It all has to be linked.
it does. To make it sustainable and to make it something that gives you joy. That's what it has to be.
And
If you want it to go, sorry.
Next topic.
I'm so excited about this topic. Sorry.
That's what makes it inspiring.
It does, because it all links. And you talk about alignment a lot. And people go, oh, what is alignment? Alignment is when your values, your belief systems, your feelings about yourself and how you look after yourself and how you show up in your life, when all of those align, you're like an unstoppable, powerful thing that just charges at life. And then you start building everything that you start going, okay, well, what do I want to do next?
Yeah.
Because I'm powerful, I'm aligned, I can go and do it. And it all starts coming at you. You're like,
and then that again goes back to building that trust, that confidence, the belief in yourself. All of that starts to happen. And voila, you're leading by example. You're not just self-leading.
No.
You're also leading by example. And
it becomes effortless.
That I had for a very long time was lead by example. Be the leader that you're looking for. Rather than looking for a leader out here, you be that leader that you'll be looking for.
And I can't be the person that they say fake it till you make it. I know what they're saying when you say that. It's basically engage in the behaviors and the beliefs and the daily practices that make you the person that you want to be. But I think when you choose the person that you want to be by examining your values, by examining your belief systems and tweaking what you want, and also saying, I've got no strengths in that area.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep pushing myself to be like, people would say to me, why can't you just keep your mouth shut? And I'd go, why should I?
It's not in my nature.
Why should I? No. Get her out. She doesn't belong here.
It's hilarious.
It's not that there's anything wrong with me. I was just in the wrong place. You can't.
And I think that's key, isn't it? So a lot of the times we will punish ourselves and go, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. And it's, again, it goes back to, no, your values are not aligned with what you're currently doing. And whenever they're not aligned, you're always going to feel out of alignment. And you're always going to feel as if there's something wrong because you're not fitting in. And you can be, or whatever it is.
And you can be super experienced and you can be super smart and you can be super hardworking. Why isn't any of that working? Because you're in the wrong place. You put a cactus plant in a winter wonderland, it's not going to survive.
Oh, it's not going to thrive. Not at all. Not going to thrive. Yeah. No. So I'm putting a tropical plant in a winter wonderland as well. Ain't going to thrive. It's going to get a lot of frostbite. A lot of frostbite.
Yeah. And it might be able to just, yeah. But there's just, if you've got to plant yourself where you're going to thrive. And that's, I mean, I'm not saying consider all external factors, because your locus of control does need to be internal. And I'm not saying I'm perfect or I did everything perfectly either. There's certainly a lot of things I could have done differently. But I just don't have the mindset for that. I'm not that person. Whereas if, for example, you want someone who's going to be an amazingly powerful advocate and imbue you with a sense of self-confidence that you can go out there and conquer the world, then pick me, because I'll be there right behind you and we'll never stop until we get it done. That's me.
That's exactly right.
But don't expect.
And I think that goes back to creating that simple and repeatable pattern. Yeah, so once you figure that out, then it goes back to that. Let's make it simple. Let's break it down, and let's make it repeatable. And then you don't get the overwhelm either.
That's
and
right.
You can definitely lead yourself and lead the mood. Then you can
know thyself. Know thyself.
Yeah,
and that's ultimately it, isn't it? Know yourself, know your values, know what you're doing. Then you can choose your standards, and you can make your standards realistic as well. So I'm never going to be a super professional person who is able to, for example, even if I were to complete a medical degree, I could never be a doctor. I'm too silly and whimsical and want to have fun. I could never be that serious and that super duper professional all the time. Even a lawyer. I mean, I could probably go and do the degree, but I'm just not, it's just not me. It's just not me. And this is why.
We were at a New Year's Eve party and we were talking about early career choices, and someone mentioned about they had joined the military, and I went, yeah, funny.
Oh, God.
I said, yeah, funny. I actually almost joined the military. I filled out all the forms to join the Air Force, actually submitted put the forms in at the career centre, at the Air Force Career Centre. I went home, and in the back of my mind, because I did it out of desperation, I was looking for work, and
doing something.
I was been out of work for I think 3 or 4 months. I was going, I'll just go join the Defence Force,
Yeah.
And I got home, and I would have been in my early 20s. I got home, my gut was just going, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
And then I thought about it even further, and I went, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to deal with being told what to do all the time. I'm just not, I'm not submissive. I'm not a submissive.
No. Same.
And I can't be told what to do, because I just get my back up and go, screw you, poach.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my own thing. And I thought, no, I'd end up getting reprimanded all the time. It'd be terrible. Even though I'd probably become a very good leader in there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd get reprimanded all the time, because I cannot be told. And I thought, okay, you need to go back and ask them to.
And the structure, the relentless structure, that's one thing I really struggled with in New South Wales, starting in probation and parole up there, because it's basically back in the day, we didn't have team leaders, we had unit leaders. It was sort of paramilitary, my old team leader told me. But he was an encourager. And see, this is why I thrive. People who are encouraging and invite you to step forward into roles, love them.
They
work with them all day.
Step up, and they support you in that.
Yep.
Rather than tearing you down. Yeah, it's a very
I'll bring them the results they want all day long, because I will absolutely get a dopamine hit from going, here you go, I did the thing you wanted, and I put cherries on top, and they'll go, oh, this is wonderful. And I'll go,
thank you.
Awesome. Micromanager that starts pushing me around, and I'll go,
yeah.
That's the end of that.
So you look at that and you go, I almost stepped into that career. If I didn't follow through with what my gut was telling me, because I literally I felt like, I was sick to my stomach afterwards. I was going,
your body talking to you.
And I kind of went, no, okay, I need to pull that back. But imagine if I did fall into that, I would have been doing a career that I absolutely hated. And the chances are I probably wouldn't have even lasted 12 months. I probably would have gotten kicked out.
But you couldn't have escaped, really.
No.
Because when you're in, you're in. That's a big commitment.
Yeah. And then imagine that on your CV. Yeah,
I don't reckon you would have gotten kicked out. I reckon you would have. No, you would have toughed it out. You would have sucked it up and gone, right, I'll tough it out and get the 3 years done, and then you would have gone.
Yeah, probably. But still, I would have been miserable the entire time.
Oh, absolutely.
But these are the things you've got to, and that's because I didn't do that before I went in there. I didn't do that thing of going, I did it out of fear. You
Of
know, like I
course.
need a job, I need to get an income. Oh, this is a career path I can probably excel in, all that type of
Yeah.
stuff.
And
But
a
I
lack of
didn't sit down
knowledge.
and go,
Yep.
how does this align to my values? How does it align to the
How old
standards?
were you, Eva?
I was probably about 22 at the time.
I didn't even have a clue about values when I was 22.
No, no, neither did I. But that's what I'm saying. Like, because I didn't. And that's the whole thing. How many people are at that age that don't understand their
No.
values, what's important to them, and where they want to be in life? They're not really looking. I mean, I definitely wasn't looking at my 10-year or 5-year plan. I was looking at
No.
what do I need to do immediately right now to bring an
Yeah.
income. I need an income because I want to go partying tomorrow night. Come on.
Oh,
That's what
we've
it
all
was.
been there.
Yeah,
We've all been
it's
there.
crazy.
Yeah. So that's
Crazy.
so that's really interesting. So you listened to your body though. Your body was telling you what to do, and you set your standard and said, "That's not going to work for me." And
Well, I mean, the one big thing that I was big on back then was listening to my intuition. Um,
yeah,
and so afterwards, obviously I wasn't listening to it beforehand, but I
yeah,
did afterwards. And my body, that feeling of my body, how my body felt,
yeah.
which was my was going to throw up and stuff like
Oh
that.
God.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, totally making the wrong decision here. Don't do that.
Oh God,
But
I've felt
how
that on
many of
some
us,
days.
regardless of our body saying to us, you're making the wrong decision,
Mm,
still follow through with it. Yeah. And it's the same thing that when we're trying to get ourselves to do something that we know is good for us, but we're
mm.
ignoring that because we want to take that instant gratification out and then we feel guilty about it afterwards.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing. You've got to look at it and go, you've got to control those moods.
You do
And
have to, you've got to,
yeah,
yeah, because cumulatively, the other thing is, of course, that if you do the short term gratification, long term, your mood will worsen, your anxiety will increase, the monkey mind chatter will get worse, and ultimately, you won't be achieving your goals. But if you do the delayed gratification, you do the thing, you work through the mood, you go, yeah, okay, I feel like shit, but I'm going to go and do it anyway.
yeah,
Happy in spite of, or doing it in spite of, you do it over time. And that's the key actually to managing anxiety and depression, I think, is not allowing yourself to get down to that low. You start recognizing it
you
and you say,
recognize.
okay, I've got to keep myself up here. It's like swimming. It's
Yeah,
like swimming. You're like, if I stop swimming, I will sink.
yeah, yeah.
But we're
I got
not
to
we're
keep
not
going.
exhausting ourselves. We're doing a nice, relaxing swim that we can keep up at a steady pace all the time, and we're going from one destination to another. We're doing it in a way that is sustainable, and we start to enjoy the process. And
Yeah,
that's when it becomes really good, because when you've got that aligned with your values, with your beliefs, then you really enjoy the process. And then your mood changes. And actually, we do beat ourselves up a lot. I've seen people beat themselves up a lot, and I've seen this a lot in the workplace where people go, yeah, no, I fucking hate it, but I've just got to do it. And they don't give themselves any other choices. They don't look at any other way out. And so they knuckle down and like go,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because that's also not what we're talking about here.
No, no. It's not doing it, clutching your fist,
Bullying yourself.
forcing yourself to, and that goes back to bullying yourself. That's actually bullying yourself into doing something. And we're
Yeah.
not talking about bullying. We're talking about negotiation. We're talking about living your life from self-leadership
Yeah.
and recognizing doing something for your benefit versus doing something that actually is a disbenefit in the long run, like
Yes,
instant gratification is a disbenefit in the long run, as opposed to something that is a benefit. It's going to have long-term effects.
that's right. And from a metaphysical perspective, whatever you were put here on this earth to do, whatever your soul is, I suppose, pre-programmed for, whatever the flavor you are, is undeniable. It doesn't make any
Mm.
difference what you try and do. You dress up vanilla as chocolate, it's always going to come out as vanilla in the end. Like, it just doesn't work.
You'll be
So
living you'll be living out of congruence with who you really are.
yes, yes. And whatever is meant for you will come for you, but it will come for you when you live in congruence with yourself, when you are
Yes.
aligned, when you figure that out. So you've got to do the inner work. There's just no getting around it. If you want to be genuinely centered and happy, the inner work is really important. And it starts off hard, but then after a while it becomes quite exhilarating.
Mm. You definitely have to face yourself. And it's not to say that you'll never have low days, even when you are doing the inner
Oh
work, 'cause
gosh.
you will. But the
Yeah.
difference is as you become observant of it, you recognize it, you're
Mm.
working on it before it becomes a result externally. So you
Yeah.
see it internally first and you go, oh, okay, I'm in a mood. Um,
Yeah.
feeling very happy, whatever it may be, and you
Yep.
recognize it and you're
Mm.
working through it and you go, even though I'm like that, I'm observant of this. I'm not going to allow this to affect my day.
Yeah.
I'm going to, and this is where that internal negotiation or self leadership comes from. But if you
Yep.
don't do that, if you allow the mood to take over, then all of a sudden you may end up having an argument with something during the day because you're in a mood. So
Yep.
it's the thing about recognizing it, being able to see it and deal with it before it becomes an event externally.
Yeah. Or you can choose your mood if you've got that discipline too. I mean, I
Yeah.
used to choose a work mood. I'd walk in every morning, good morning, and be upbeat and friendly, and then sit down at my desk and do my job. And people would get annoyed with me for that. Why are you always so positive? And I think I'm not. I'm faking it for you because you really don't want to see how I feel, but I'm just being professional.
Yeah, it was funny. I used to, when I'd wake up in a mood, and especially if it was a work day, and I'd go into work, and I'd let people know. I'd say to them, "I'm just going to excuse myself now. I'm in a bit of a mood. I'm a bit grumpy. If I
Yep.
snap at you, don't take it personally. I'm actually going to take a step back and be alone and be very quiet.
Yep.
So please be mindful of that." And I'd say that to my team. Please be mindful of that. I'm
I would
letting you know.
respect that. That's
And
really good.
and if I do snap at you, please don't take it to heart, and I'll do my best not to snap at you. And I mean, usually I wouldn't, and they'd laugh at
No,
me because they'd go, "Yeah, okay, that's told us she's in a mood. All right, we'll just
leave her
avoid you for
alone.
the next hour, and then
Give
you'll
her
be
some
fine."
time.
Yeah, exactly right. But that's the whole thing, recognizing that and letting people know I'm in a mood
Yep.
and move on. But I wouldn't allow the mood to take over my day. I would actually end up getting myself out of the mood,
It's
and
funny because
that's
you really notice people that don't manage their mood at work. I worked with a chick who some mornings she would say hello, other mornings you'd say good morning, and she'd just like behind the desk, and she'd slam her phone down and she'd crack the shits and she'd storm around the office. And like people used to go, oh no, and I just ignore her because I thought that's your issue, not mine. But all these other people would go, oh, are you okay? And they'd come and pander to her and all the rest of it, and I would ignore her. And I thought she was dreadfully unprofessional.
mm,
Don't
hmm
bring that to work. And if you've got those issues, then go and sort that out. I mean, I'm not saying everyone's got to be perfect like a robot all the time,
no, definitely
but
not.
again, adulthood, emotional adulthood, you may not be fit for human consumption today, but rein it in.
Yeah, well, that goes back to that reset, doesn't it? So how do you reset it? So for me, I know that I do that, breathing into my hara, like I stand there and breathe right deep into my center, and I do
Yep.
that, um, deep breathing, breathe in for a count of 7, hold for a count of 4, and breathe out for a count of 7, and I do that, 3 or
Yep.
4 times, and that really changes the mood.
That does.
And the other thing that I do is I open my heart up. I start to think
Mm.
of all the things that I love in life.
That's a
That
good one.
really opens my heart up. Like I'll stand centered and I'll just really visualize all the things, like
All
whether
the good
it's
things.
the love that my husband has for me and the love that I have for him, or my cat, or the love of traveling, whatever. I just think of all the things that I love,
Mm.
and then that just opens my heart up and totally changes my mood instantly.
That does. It gives you a big lift. And that's almost like a gratitude, isn't it?
It
Really?
is
Mm.
total gratitude.
That's
Gratitude can
gratitude.
change you on instant. Yeah.
The other thing I find helps as well is I would step back and go, on the catastrophe scale from 1 to 10, how
Oh,
much does this really matter?
hmm
Maybe
Yep.
it's a
That's something else
2.
that Jeff and I used to do was um, is someone going to die in this situation?
No.
No. Then why are you catastrophizing it?
Do
Just,
you care?
yeah,
Yeah. No.
yeah,
Just move
not
on.
really.
Yep.
Yeah. Or the other thing is asking yourself, what is it that I'm getting out of this mood right now?
What is it I'm getting?
Out of this mood right now.
Yes, because sometimes moods can be a bit self-indulgent, can't they?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yep.
Yes. Sometimes it gives us a sense of power if we're
Yep.
storming around the office looking cranky and people leave us alone.
Or that it's like you were giving the example of that woman having other people coming up to her and going, "Oh, are you okay?
Yep.
You okay?" So getting that attention from
Yep.
people.
Yep.
Yeah. Having
Or,
that
oh, I'm having such a
wounded
shit day.
victim. Yeah. Yeah. Like, what are you getting out of it? Yeah. And recognizing that.
And if it's attention, and if you realize that actually you're needing a lot of attention, then ask yourself the question, why is that?
Mm.
Why? Because every mood has a meaning behind it. It's not just random. Your thoughts create your feelings. There's
Yeah,
obviously something
feelings,
going on.
emotions having a chemical reaction in the body, which can become addictive if you're constantly putting yourself in that position all the time.
And speaking of chemical reactions, are you in fact having moods and reacting because you've had alcohol the night before and it makes you feel like shit and poisons you neurochemically for 3 days? Have you had too many coffees today? Or are you eating dairy that's making you feel like crap? Or what are you doing? Like,
Any of those things that can cause, depending if you're sensitive to them, yeah.
did you not get a good night's sleep last night?
Mm,
Are you
mm.
prioritizing sleep and caring for yourself? Or are you living, burning the candle at both ends? Because that is a really important part of self care. Because honestly, our body doesn't really do anything without enough sleep.
No, it can't. People that talk about, oh, I only get 4 hours sleep. Yeah, I don't know where
Mm,
how you're going to feel, and by the time you're 60,
I don't know how you do it.
you do it. My body's like 8 hours, mate. 8 hours. You need 8 hours.
I will say the fitter I become, I don't need as much sleep, weirdly, and I don't know why that is, but I still have to have 7, 8 hours.
Yeah, I've always needed 8 hours sleep.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
And I actually
Yeah.
find that when I exercise, the deeper I will sleep. I'll sleep
Yeah.
real. When I don't exercise enough, I still sleep, but I find I sleep a lot lighter. And so I don't
Mm.
feel as if I've had, even if I've slept for 7 or 8 hours, I don't feel as if I've actually had enough
Don't
sleep.
feel as
It's just
rested.
been a very light sleep. So that's the other
Mm.
thing for me that exercise has been really powerful for is better sleeping.
You've got to have a little bit of physical fatigue. I mean, there's certain things about being a human being. I've heard people say there's no handbook. There is. There's basic stuff that you got to do. You got to feed yourself well. Because the other thing is, if you're really dehydrated, and this is called adulting, dehydration can affect your mood. It can also affect the tightness of the muscles in your body. So it can give you headaches and back pain and make you
Mm.
feel like crap. Adrenaline thickens your blood. So if you're anxious, and you don't hydrate strongly, it will thicken your blood and give you headaches and make you feel like crap.
Yeah,
So there is pretty much there are known things that work for the human body. It's like a car. We know the things that go into us that need to work that we need for maintenance. So are you keeping that up? Because that's part of being a really good functioning emotional adult, isn't it?
it is. And I will also say listening to your body. So what is your body asking for? So your mood can be one thing. As you said, your mood's coming from your thoughts, and that triggers an emotional response. And if you're thinking negative, then that's what happens. But asking your body what it wants and really feeling into that, it's if you're disconnected from your body, it's actually a bit of a hard thing to do. But I would actually say start building that relationship with your body and
Mm,
really asking it and going, what is it that you need? And you'll get a response. Water, I need water, or I need
yeah.
more greens, or I need more sleep, or I need to get out
Mm,
and move. Like I know when I need to move because I get fidgety and
yeah,
I
I
really
do. Yeah.
move. It's like, okay, get out. Your body wants to move, 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 move. And my body likes to move every single day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in fact, our bodies were designed to move. So it's the whole thing of get out there and move, do what it is that you need to move with, but really listen to what your body's telling you. And if you're feeling exhausted all the time, ask your body why, and you will get an answer.
Yeah.
It'll be
And
very
actually,
subtle.
it's interesting because, again, like a frog in the cold water that warms up over time, as I've been an example, as I've been doing a lot of walking lately, I've noticed quite a bit of pain in my left hip. And then I was lifting weights the other day and I thought, oh, my left hamstring's feeling really tight. And so is my left shoulder. And so I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to do? Obviously, there's muscle tightness and I need to release that and build different muscles and stretch. But I realized that I've been living with that for quite some time and it's been annoying me, but I've kind of just shoved it on the back burner because I'm busy. So once you start doing the things like exercising and practicing, part of your self care is saying, all right, the check engine light's on. What do I need to do here?
Mm,
Because we
mm.
don't. We power on through, we charge on through. I've got too much to do. I'm too busy. And if it's a niggle, we just push it to one side.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's really important to do that, to really listen to what your body needs, but also listen to what your soul needs as well.
Mm.
And that goes back to again that whole self-leadership.
Yep.
Don't allow the ego personality to take over and dictate to you or tell you that you're not good enough, or that you just want to lay here on the couch and do nothing for hours on end. When you know that you want to do other stuff, and you're getting that internal niggling or that internal push, but you're ignoring it. It's like, don't ignore it,
Yeah.
move in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that self abandonment of just completely collapsing in a heap.
Yeah.
And then your brain is, and the reason that you get such anxiety when you do that is because your brain is screaming at you, this isn't working, you've got to do something else.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to lead by example. And that is first starts off with leading yourself. We'd love to hear what you've gotten out of today's session. And I would also take it a step further. Kat mentioned earlier on about the 7-day micro challenge that she's been doing.
Yeah.
How about doing that now? Do a 7-day micro challenge. Kick that in.
Yep.
See what you want to do a challenge on. Like if you've actually got a resolution that you've put forward that you want to achieve for this year, let's break it down to the first 7 days. What is it that you want to do in the next 7 days?
Yep.
And let us know how you went. I'd love to hear
Yeah.
from you. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And the other thing that we mentioned a lot about was the Authentic Life Blueprint. That's something that Kat was talking about, was out of the values and the strengths. So if that's another area that you found that was quite intriguing of, well, actually, what are my values? What are my strengths? And how does that align to my standards and what I want in life? Get the workbook. It'll actually help you unravel that.
Yeah,
And
massive.
the exercises in there will really, really help you understand
Mm.
what it is that you do value and in what priority that
Mm.
they fall in your life. So
So
give that a
huge.
go. And please feel free to join our Facebook community group. We would love to have you part of our community because it's really all about igniting the spark in people and living a more authentic life.
Exactly.
Yeah. So until next time, live brilliantly and think beautifully. Ciao. We'd like to say a huge thank you to our incredible audience for your continued support. Our mission is to ignite your spark, empowering you to be a beacon of light for others. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you would like answered in future episodes or just want to share some insights, connect with us on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for additional resources, go to our website. You'll find the link below. And remember, the absolute best way to help us grow is to share this episode with your friends and family and to subscribe to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly.